My name is Barb Whitesides, and I am a professor at the University of Phoenix, and I've been working there as an area chair for a number of years. Never thought I would really like being an instructor, but it's something that I've ended up doing and I really enjoy a lot. I've always been really outgoing. I really enjoy people. I was a radio broadcaster for 35 years and enjoyed that very much because I really like people and I like talking to people. So a lot of it was interviewing and speaking with people and getting them to express their opinions and just bringing people out. I really enjoy doing that. And then a few years ago, 6 years ago, I got a diagnosis of breast cancer, and it really hit me hard. I never expected something like that to happen. Nobody ever does. But it was a very devastating time for me, and it really brought me back a couple of steps. For someone who's really outgoing, it took its toll. So I was more fortunate than many. I ended up with a lumpectomy. I didn't lose a breast. Many women do these days. And so it was a blessing. It's really hard to say that because no one ever expects that you would say that cancer would be a blessing, but there are many hidden gifts in getting that diagnosis. At the time, even though it was very difficult for me, I made it through that whole period very well, and I feel like I've been a good support for other people that go through it. When people end up with a diagnosis of breast cancer and they come through it and they're a survivor, they're just grateful to be alive. And I was very grateful to be alive, obviously. But you don't realize the hidden scars that you continue to carry. Something is always different. When you take off your clothes at night, you're reminded that you've had this dramatic experience in your life. When I was first diagnosed with breast cancer, it is almost harder for your friends than it is for yourself because they don't know what to say to you. They don't know how to act around you, and you don't know how much to tell them. Fortunately, I have had a wonderful group of people around me, and I've never been quiet about my breast cancer. I have been always very open, and I have told my friends everything I'm going through and have asked them if they have any questions, please ask me. I'll feel better if I tell them. And so they've always been there for me. I am so lucky to have such a great group of friends. I have friends in every venue, in every exercise venue that I participate in. I participate in water aerobics at least 3 times a week. I'm getting weight training in now. I love to walk around the lake. There's something so meditative and makes me feel like I can think about how far I've come through this journey. I love to meditate at the lake. I like to walk around the lake, sit down, look out over the lake, and really think about all the gifts that have come to me in my lifetime. My friends, my family, my health, surviving. And I thank God every day for all the things that have happened in my life, even making it through this experience. So when I heard that there was an opportunity for me to improve the way that my breasts look after breast cancer, I thought, well, I really feel as though I need to do this. It's not that important to me, but it would be a good thing. I didn't realize how dramatic it would be for me. I was so caught up in the fact that I was grateful, which I was, but when you no longer have a daily reminder on your body of something you went through, it can lift your spirits. It can lift your life up in ways that you don't even imagine. I feel like it gave me a sense of being whole again, to be able to have the procedure that I had, which is known as Renuvia, and come through it and look whole again and look the way that I looked before. it has given me another lease on life. It has given me confidence back that I didn't realize I'd lost, and I really had. So I'm grateful, but not from a vanity standpoint, from a standpoint of feeling as though I can be the best that I can be. You know, it's funny because it runs the gamut. People run the gamut in terms of how they feel about changing things that God gave you. I don't think God gave me breast cancer. I don't think God had anything to do with it. I do think that we are all, as human beings, that we're challenged. But there are those on one end of the spectrum who feel like to make any change, any elective change to improve your body is running contrary to the great body that God gave you. But the other end of the spectrum, I think people can get overwhelmed with always wanting to improve. It's never good enough. But for the rest of us, to be able to have a sense of who we were before back again, and that's what this procedure did for me. It is renewing, it's empowering. I feel so much better about myself and so much stronger. Renuvia is something that's relatively brand new. Fat transfer is not an unusual procedure. People have wanted to do that forever. They thought, gee, if I could just take the fat from this area and put it in this area, I would just be a happy camper. But the problem was that there's never really been a procedure where you put the material in another part of your body, where you actually take the fat from one area and you put it into another. The body would absorb that too quickly and it would just dissipate into the body, and so the results would be very short-lived. But with this new procedure known as Renuvia, it is a much gentler procedure. It's not as violent as it harvests, if you will, the fat cells. So the fat cells stay intact. So when they take this substance and put it where you've lost volume, some women put it in their faces or in the tops of their hands as they age. In this particular case, in my case, it was where I'd had the lumpectomy and I'd lost a lot of volume in my left breast. They were able to stay there and not be absorbed by the body as quickly. So that is what intrigued me, because I know enough about science to think, I was a skeptic. I thought, well, gee, anything like fat transfer is not going to work. But I knew with this new procedure there was hope. And it really has turned out so much better than I ever expected it would. The amazing thing about Renuvia is I was awake during the whole procedure. I was on the table participating in the conversation about what's going on, what's happening. It was that gentle a procedure. And the surgeon was talking to me. Dr. Tess Mauricio did the work for me, and she talked to me through the whole procedure and asked me questions, and I gave her feedback, and she pulled out a mirror and we both looked, and I was, oh my gosh, I can't believe the difference. And we just looked at each other and we both had tears in our eyes. For me, I think the breasts are tied to something so much more than just sexuality for a woman. It really defines who she is, how she feels about herself. It can be tied up with motherhood. It can be tied to attractiveness. So many different things. So I think when you have something dramatic like breast cancer and you have loss, whether it be with a lumpectomy or what have you, and then you can restore that material, it builds you back up as a woman. And that was a wonderful thing for me. Before I had the procedure, I look at pictures of myself now from before and saw how I would really hide my breasts, how I would wear jackets, or I would wear something a little bit more covering myself up, because I was aware of how asymmetrical my bust line was. I wasn't really conscious of it, but when I look at pictures, I see now that I was doing that. I was trying to cover that up. And now I feel so much more confident. I wear clothes that I didn't wear before. Not to say, hey, look at my breasts, but just simply that I'm not hiding anything anymore. That is more amazing than I can even communicate to you. To have that sense of self back. I think that women are changing as far as doing everything they can do to improve their appearance. For me and for a lot of women, I think, that are becoming a little bit more enlightened as time goes on, we're starting to understand and realize and appreciate that the improvements that we make to our bodies are for us. They're not for other people. They're not so we can walk in the room and say, I look better than that woman and that woman and that woman. It's so that you can walk into that room and say, I am the best I can possibly be. I've done everything I can to feel the best I can feel. And that's not vanity. That's just being everything you can be. I wish that we had a cure for breast cancer. I've been involved with a breast cancer 3-day walk. I've walked twice, I've crewed twice, and I'm going to be crewing again this November in the 60-mile walk. And I wish we could get there. I wish that one day we woke up and the headlines read, "We found it."